Hello and welcome to our Pecha Kucha presentation on Djibouti by Will and I. Djibouti is a small country with a population of just under 1 million people. You can see its color flag here and some examples of Djibouti culture depicted by the two women as well. As we progress through our presentation, you will learn more about this wonderful country. Djibouti's population may fall under 1 million people, but it will not remain that way for long. After all, Djibouti is a part of Africa, which holds the title of the continent with the fastest increasing population. This graph depicts the upward trend in population, dramatically increasing post-1960s. The crude birth rate and death rate for Djibouti have both been steadily decreasing. However, as the death rate begins to level off, we begin to notice that Djibouti has entered the third phase of demographic transition towards becoming a fully developed country. We will talk more about demographic transition later. As with all exponential growth models, the doubling time for Djibouti has decreased and will continue to decrease. As time goes on, larger populations lead to even larger populations in the following generation. This trend continues on and on so that populations begin to easily double from their previous size in shorter amounts of time. Looking at this life expectancy graph, we see a sharp decline in life expectancy before the 1920s, which was most likely caused by the smallpox epidemic that swept Africa during this time. Overall, however, life expectancy in Djibouti has been steadily increasing and now resides at a respectable 65 years of age. Expected population growth is often very speculative and not guaranteed to have accurate results, but when trends are reliable as they have been for Africa in past years, we can come up with a fairly reliable number by using some simple math. In this case, Djibouti's expected population growth rate is 1.6%. There are 4 phases of demographic transition. As depicted by this graph, we see that Djibouti is currently in the third phase, with a falling birth rate and low death rate. Djibouti is well on its way to becoming a fully developed country in terms of demographic transition. As with all populations, education, especially family planning education, can greatly decrease the birth rate of a country and improve the lives of those with smaller families. Djibouti still has many isolated populations that have large families, but rising education in family planning is decreasing the commonness of these families. Immigration adds to a country's population, while emigration subtracts from it. Djibouti's net migration rate has been negative in the past, but has remained positive in the 21st century, averaging at about 6 migrants per 1,000 population in recent years, as shown by this graph.
Deforestation and desertification are the two most threatening environmental problems facing Djibouti today. The recent lack of rain is a problem in such a hot country. Many companies are also cutting down countless trees, leading to deforestation. These two problems are dangerous because deforestation with a hot climate leads to desertification. The Djibouti GDP is $1.727 billion. This makes it ranked number 167 in the world. This is somewhat high in terms of developing countries. Djibouti has many factors of production to achieve this GDP, which will be explained shortly. As we can see in the line graph pictured above, the Djiboutian GDP has been on a rise for the past 30 years. A steady increase followed shortly after Djibouti became independent from France, and after 2000, with the introduction of modern technology, Djibouti's GDP has been on a steeper incline, apart from the 2008 economic crisis. Djibouti's more developed industries are banking, railways, construction, and airplanes. The Djiboutian National Bank, the 3 Djiboutian Airlines, and the Al Gamil Construction Company. Like I said, new technology worked wonders for Djibouti because they were able to use these newly developed industries to their advantage. For the most part, these companies emerged in the mid to early 1960s when Djibouti was still under French rule, and known as French Somaliland, whose flag is pictured above, until 1977. As we were able to see with the increase of the GDP, they have grown stronger and bigger and continue to dominate the Djiboutian economy. Recently, droughts have led to the death of livestock and the destruction of crops and increased malnutrition, and without abundant food and water, not much can get done. Although the banking company, airline, railway, and construction company are very, very important, Not many common people can afford their services, which is why Djibouti is still a developing country. Many people, including the stock photo lady pictured, believe that Djibouti cannot become sustainable because of the lack of abundant food and water. In addition, the immature trade system and basic lack of funds from the government makes the country unable to simply import enough food and water to keep the country sustained. Many people think that Djiboutian sustainable is possible, such as the lady pictured. This is because they have a good amount of support from China, because Djibouti is located on the Horn of Africa, an ideal place for a large trading port. Other than this, China has other plans for Djibouti, which I will mention soon. Dan and I are strong believers in the fact that sustainability can be achieved in Djibouti, because, like just mentioned, Djibouti's potential with the help of China is there. In addition to a trading port, China has other ideas to benefit both Djibouti and China equally, because China wants to build a military base in Djibouti. In order for Djibouti to become sustainable, Djiboutian officials must accept the offer from China to build a military base in Djibouti. This will benefit Djibouti because of the $100 million that China will be paying Djibouti and the jobs that it will create for Djiboutians. Djibouti must also allow China to improve the trade ports and build a military base, build new airlines and improve the existing ones, and build new factories and make new factors of production. This will allow Djibouti to be able to trade more, and the increased money will make the food shortage way less of a problem. In addition, Djibouti must stop destroying their environment.